Greetings gamers, my name is Johnny Retro and this is my 2020 Game Room Tour. That's right, I've been planning a brand new Game Room Tour for a very long time now, and yeah, it just seemed like the perfect time to do it. I will leave the link of my previous Game Room Tour that I did last year down below for you guys to check it out, and to make a little bit of a comparison because I changed a lot of things around here, and that previous video ended up being a 2-hour long video. I don't know what is going to happen with this one, but I don't want it to be that long. Even though I got more than 20,000 views on my previous Game Room Tour, and I really can't thank you guys enough for that. So let's do it, let's take a closer look at my Game Room in 2020, right after this. And here we are, guys, and I guess that we should start right here with my door. There's Johnny right there. Here on my doorknob, I keep these are the credentials of past gaming events and conventions that I attend to. So here we have the West Retrogames Festival. This one is from, I believe it is Lisboa Games Week, right there. This one is Vorten Game City. Here's Johnny again. And here we have the Image Geek. And yeah, I keep these in here as a display and as a reminder of you know, conventions that I attend to, thanks to my YouTube channel. And I love gaming events, and I think that we have a lot of good ones here here in Portugal, actually. Moving on to the right, some artwork, and yeah, this one needs reframe. Had a little bit of an accident here, but it is what it is. Some artwork of Sketch Turner from Comic Zone, my favorite Sega character. Here we have some artwork of Space Invaders. This one is really cool because it combines, you know, the old school ones with the interpretation, if you will, of the author, of what Space Invaders would look like if the game was made today. So a modern and retro approach at the same time of Space Invaders. Here we have my Nintendo Switch bag right there, my PlayStation Classic, and my PS1 bag, my original PS1, and my original PS1 is actually inside the bag right now at the moment. So now let's take a look at my gaming shelves. There on the top, as you guys can see, I keep my boxes and a couple of consoles inside. My PS2 is in the box right now, and also my PS3. I need to rearrange that and maybe getting a setup just for my PlayStation consoles, because you guys know that PlayStation is my favorite console of all time. And here on the first shelf, we have my Pokemon Stadium, completely in box right there, and also my mini Nintendo consoles with the extra controller for the NES Classic. Here we have a VHS of Nintendo 64 and a couple of adapters, and this was actually made for me a long time ago, when I first started the channel, actually. So yeah, that's the first shelf. Let's move on to the next one. I'm not a big of a portable gamer, but I really enjoyed the Nintendo Switch. This is my humbled Switch collection right here. The Crown Jewel, Final Fantasy VII, and Final Fantasy VIII, the Twin Pack, and of course the other Crown Jewel, Octopath Traveler, the Compendium Edition. I love this game. Octopath Traveler is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. I would dare to say one of my favorite video games of all time. I really, really love Octopath Traveler. Great game. This is just a box. The game is actually on the Switch because I've been playing this recently. Poi. This was an early release on the system, platformer. It's kind of a Super Mario 64 clone, but it's a very good one. My humbled GameCube collection, right here. It's small, it's tiny, but I do think that I have decent titles. DS and 3DS, the only reason why I got the DS, actually the 3DS, or actually the 2DS, was mainly to play Pokemon games, but along the way I gathered a couple of other ones. So yeah, like I said guys, I'm not big of a portable gamer. I used to, but not anymore. And when it comes to the Switch, I prefer to play on the TV actually. And here is my Nintendo 64 Pikachu edition with a controller. And this controller was actually part of my GoldenEye pack of my original Nintendo 64. And this N64 Pikachu edition was actually a gift from my sister-in-law and my girlfriend actually. This was theirs. This was their console, their Nintendo 64 back when they were kids. So of course this is a very, very important item on my collection because it has a history behind it. It has a story. And that's the beauty of each collection because, you know, this is something that Neo from UpYourArsenal, I'll leave the link of his channel down below, and he said in one of his videos is that when you're seeing these game room tours and collections and whatnot, sometimes you will find the same item in all collections, right? But the same item in two different collections, it offers a different story, a different background story. And that's why I like to make, these game room tours and show my collection, because it's not just about the actual item and having it. It's the story behind it. It's the memories and the background. And sometimes even the way you got the item, it's interesting. So yeah, that's why I collect. Moving on to the next shelf, this is the Game Boy shelf, as you guys can see. And sorry for the glare, guys. I'm trying to make the best that I can out of this. Right here we have a completed in box Booster Boy, and I really need to make a video on that. That is kind of a obscure rare item. It's very bizarre. It's a unofficial add-on for the original Game Boy, and it's weird, but it's cool at the same time. Here's a handy carry. This is actually brand new in the box. I never opened it up, never used it. These right here are filled with Game Boy Advance cartridges. Here are a couple of my original Game Boy games. And this row right here, all of these are multi-cards. And a lot of these were sent by you guys. So thank you so much for your generosity. And yeah, I'm a huge sucker for bootleg multi-cards. I have a bunch of them. I have a bunch of weird ones. This one right here, for example, came with this nice box. I believe that Mr.NES, I believe he sent me this one. Again, Mr.NES link down below. This guy has probably the biggest NES collection in Portugal, and I'm not kidding. Here is a multi-card for the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, these are all original Game Boy games right here. Another weird multi-card. A couple of completed in box games. Again, multi-cards right here. Sword of Mana. This is a great RPG. The prequel to Secret of Mana. Although this is a remake of the original Game Boy game. Pokemon Yellow, my original Pokemon Yellow. Pokemon Ruby. And Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy IV, it's probably one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, my 2D Final Fantasy games. And I need to get this one for the Super Famicom though. Here we have a couple of ROM hacks for the Game Boy, and this is a homebrew game for the Game Boy. I actually made a video about this. This was a homebrew game made right here in Portugal, and it's here on a physical cartridge, and it is awesome. Here we have my Game Boys. Two original Game Boys, the translucent one right there. Again, guys, sorry for the glare. My original Game Boy, translucent Game Boy, my original Game Boy Color, and I hope that you guys can see right there, it's the Game Boy Advance SP, my favorite Game Boy ever, hands down. And here we have, just to display, a copy of Tetris, because Tetris, I mean, if you have a Game Boy, or if you had a Game Boy back when you were a kid, you had Tetris. You need to have Tetris, hands down. Moving on, here is the Super Famicom / Super Nintendo / Nintendo 64 shelf right here. Here we have NES from Earthbound. This was made by Nerdbeats. I have a couple of memorabilia right here, just for decoration. I don't collect these. I just like to have a couple of these around, just for decoration. My humble Super Famicom collection. And the cool thing about collecting for the Super Famicom is that not only you have great exclusives, but it's cheap. It's super cheap to collect for. I think that I got these separately, okay, over time, and I don't think that I've paid more than 10 euros for these, including shipping, and I'm talking about eBay, okay? So it's crazy. If you want to get into Super Nintendo, and if you don't mind to get a couple of these games in Japanese, just grab them for the Super Famicom. They're very cheap. But speaking about Japanese, these are all JRPGs. So how do I play these? I use these on the Retron 5. That way I can use the translation patch and of course use the original controller. So that's a plus. Here we have Bahamut Lagoon. I have started playing this game already. I'm loving it so far. It's an exclusive. Probably not an RPG for everybody, but it's cool, it's different, and it looks beautiful. Here, of course, Chrono Trigger, Seiken Densetsu 2, aka Secret of Mana, Seiken Densetsu 3, aka Trials of Mana, which, in my opinion, it's better than Secret of Mana. And here we have Treasure Hunter G. This is a little hidden gem on the system. Really cool JRPG on the Super Famicom. I need to make a review on this one, by the way. Here we have a couple of Super Nintendo games, and to be honest, guys, I don't collect for the Super Nintendo anymore. This is what I have, and I'm happy with it because it is just crazy. It's super expensive, but it's a small collection, but it's my collection, and I'm happy with what I have. Prince of Persia right here. My favorite Prince of Persia is actually the one on Super Nintendo. Street Fighter 2 Turbo, my favorite Street Fighter game. Weapon Lord. This is actually kind of a rare fighting game on Super Nintendo. You also have a port on the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive, but I never played that one. Legend of Zelda. This is the Link to the Past, of course. This is the only NTSC Super Nintendo game that I have. The others are, of course, PAL. And this was probably the best deal that I've ever made on a video game, and it was a while ago, but even so. This one, again, 100% completed in box, 100% original. It's in a decent shape, and it's the NTSC version with the map, with the flyers, everything. I've paid 5 euros for this. So yeah, you can still find good deals. You just have to be patient, just have to wait, and grab the opportunity if it pops up. Here we're starting to see a couple of N64 games. Again, a humble collection, but it is my collection. Just let me take these out of the way. Of course, that I have right here, Ocarina of Time. This was the very first Legend of Zelda game that I've ever played. Still one of my favorites, of course. Banjo-Kazooie, I need to have the second one. Banjo-Tooie. But yeah, and I also have a couple of loose games right here. Super Mario All-Stars, this is the one that came with my Super Nintendo. Here we have Equinox. Mike from Game Chest gave me this. A great game. It's a sequel to Solstice on the NES. This one plays better. Sorry guys. This one plays better and it looks better, but I prefer the first one, to be honest with you. And here just loose cartridges. Mario 64, and no, I don't have a completely in-box version of Super Mario 64, and I'm okay with that because, like I mentioned, no, this was my girlfriend and her sister's Nintendo 64 back when they were kids, and this was their copy of Super Mario 64, so yeah, it's right here, and I'm happy with it, even though it is just a cartridge. GoldenEye, this one is loose again because this is the one that came with my Nintendo 64. Mario Party 2, I believe that this was also part of my, this also belonged to my girlfriend. Yeah, I think it was, but to be fair, I'm not a huge fan of Mario Party. And here we have Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. This is actually an NTSC version of the game. So yeah, let's move on to the next shelf. And the next shelf is my NES collection. And I love the NES. Even though I didn't grow up with this system, hands down, this is my favorite Nintendo library. The NES is without a doubt my favorite Nintendo console. I'm not going to show you guys everything. I mean, I really don't want this to be another 2-hour video, another 2-hour game room tour. So yeah, I'm just going to show you guys a little bit. If you guys want it, pause it and see what I have here. I don't have, you know, super rare games or anything like that. I'm just not that type of collector. And each single game that I have, it's a game that I enjoy, actually. Even though I have a couple of ones that suck, sorry, even though I have a couple of ones that suck, I enjoy having them. Like the Mutant Virus, for example. I did a playthrough with my good friend Tiago on a series called Let's Play Weird Video Games. We never caught up with the series, we just made 2 videos, but it's there for you guys to see. And yeah, we had a lot of fun with this one, although this game kind of sucks. Zelda, of course, the golden cartridges. This is, I got this very recently. This is a weird multi-card. This is for the Famicom. For Famicom, sorry, but they were supposed to work on the original Nintendo, but I just can't get this to work. I don't know if it is a problem with the actual cartridge or not. I mean, as you can see, the quality build of this, it's not very good, but it's here. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Here, just let me take this out of the way. This is of course highlight for the Famicom, and here I have a couple of Famicom games right there. This is the only one that I have completed in box, but I love these. I love the artwork of the of the Famicom, and I don't mind collecting just the cartridges for the NES. I'm totally fine with it. But if you can get the boxes for the Famicom, again, they're cheap, like the Super Famicom, and they're just awesome. And even the cartridges. I mean, this to me, I don't know, they just look like candy. So Japanese, and I like it. It's very cool. Oh, and I almost forgot, here I have a couple of multi-cards. Again, I'm a sucker for multi-cards, no matter what system. And here we have a couple of ROM hacks / homebrew games. This is Pokemon Yellow for the NES. It's true, let me just take it off for you guys. Indeed, Pokemon Yellow for the NES. And yes, I did a review of this homebrew game right here. And it's very cool. I mean, if you like the original one, this one looks awesome. And it's on the NES, and it's right here on a physical cartridge. And yes, it plays in English. Then right here we have Final Fantasy VII, again for the NES. I actually made this box with my girlfriend. Again, let me just show it to you guys real quick. And like this Pokemon one, yeah, it plays in English, it's on a cartridge, and it is Final Fantasy VII in 8-bit for the NES. That is just crazy, and it plays very good. Speaking about old school, this is my Atari 2600 collection, and also my Atari XEGS collection right here. Do I play a lot of Atari 2600? No, but I like to collect for it. You know, this for me is kind of a how am I going to explain this? It's like an encyclopedia, you know, because the games that my generation played, I mean, the games that we all played, but in my generation, you know, I grew up with the PS1, and I also caught, you know, the end of the 16-bit era, you know, that transition to, you know, 16-bit to the early 3D stuff. It all came from this. You know, this is the OG, and no, these were not the first games ever made, and the Atari is part of the second generation of video game consoles, so no, it was not the first video game console, but it was the system, and it was the time in gaming, you know, talking about gaming history, that put gaming on the map, and it brought the experience from the arcades, you know, to our homes, and that is what I like about the Atari. It's so old school, it's charming, and yeah, I have to say that the Atari 2600, it's a very special system for me, even though I didn't grow up with it, I was not even born, but I just like to collect for it. And we don't see a lot of 2600 stuff here in Portugal, but when we do, fortunately, it's cheap because not a lot of people care for the Atari 2600. But yeah, this is my humbled Atari 2600 collection. Also have a couple of multi-cards right here. Have this double cartridge that I showcase on a video. And of course that I have E.T., the infamous E.T. And like the mutant virus on the NES, this was the other video that I did with my good friend Tiago on our series of Let's Play Weird Video Games. So yeah, this is my Atari 2600 corner right here. Oh, and just out of curiosity, I will show you the system in a bit. This is my, these are double stacked. I just have 8 games for the system. This is my Atari XEGS library, which is a weird console, kind of an obscure Atari console, which is a hybrid between a computer and a home console. It's very weird, but it looks beautiful and it sounds great, and it plays great. Probably my favorite game on the system, this one right here. You guys know this one, Archon. And I could never pronunciate this correctly. I just say Archon. It's kind of a chess game, more or less. Strategy game. It's cool. Not a lot of stuff in here. This is my PC collection. You know, just CD-based games and DVD games. There I have Age of Mythology, my good friend Mario, and no, it was not this Mario. This was theirs. Was his Age of Mythology. I have the game right here, and this is the making of on DVD. A couple of World of Warcraft miniatures. My ex-girlfriend gave me this. It's true. And yeah, World of Warcraft. And on the back we have, you know, just PC games. I'm not a big PC gamer, but I like to keep this shelf right here because I used to be a PC gamer. And this is the I still play World of Warcraft, so yeah, that's why this is right here on display. And of course the battle chest. This was when the beginning of my journey in Azeroth with World of Warcraft. And Wrath of the Lich King, hands down, the best expansion ever, the best time period in World of Warcraft. Speaking about PC games, this is my humbled big box PC collection. It is what it is. I would like to get a couple more of these just because of the actual piece. Because, you know, if we talked about, you know, collector's editions these days, you know, back in the day, each edition was kind of a collector's edition. Even though this right here specifically says collector's edition, but sorry, these older ones, these are not collector's editions or special editions or whatever. This was the game. This is what you would get. You would get a big box with some really cool and awesome artwork right here, thick manuals and guides, and that's why I would like to have a couple more of these. And let me just explain the ones that I have. This, I bought it back when I was a kid. I love this series, Dracula. This one is actually in Portuguese. This is a horror point-and-click adventure game based on the Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love this game. Right here, if you follow my channel, you guys know that I'm a huge fan of this game, Darkstone Evil Reigns. And yeah, this game is amazing. I love the soundtrack. When I did a special on Darkstone, the 20th anniversary of Darkstone, I actually had a conversation with Audrin, the singer of the Darkstone theme. And yeah, I love making that video, and I love Darkstone. And here we have Theme Hospital, one of the most iconic games, PC games of all time. It's not a PC exclusive, you know, but this was given to me by my good friend David from Deckard Games. And yeah, it's right here, David, as you can see. And I will treasure it. Here we have just a little bit of memorabilia, random stuff. Crash Bandicoot right here. My father gave me this a couple of Christmas ago. Lara Croft miniatures right there. I have these back from when I was a kid. I still have them completed. I just don't have the boxes, but who cares? I believe this was a collection of, I don't know, 5 or 6? I don't know. But yeah, these are the ones that I have. Keychains of Crash Bandicoot. These are a couple of extra stuff that came. For example, this came with my deluxe edition of Kingdom Hearts 3. This one came... Sorry, it's making a mess. This one came with my pre-order of Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. What else? I have a Lara Croft pen. And this was a gift from my good friend João Correia. Yeah, it's the Nokia shell of Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, as you can see, I'm a huge Crash Bandicoot fan and also huge fan of Lara Croft. Let's move on to the second row of shelves and let's speed things up a little bit because this video again is going to be very long. Sorry guys, I talk a lot. Here on this shelf, it's a weird one. Here I keep a couple of handhelds and a couple of obscure ones. This one is the Quick Shot Supervision. You might know this one under the name of Watara Supervision. This is a sealed game for the system right here. There we have the Barcode Battler. And here we have a very obscure, this is probably the most obscure and rare system that I have on my entire collection. This is, let me just move this out of the way. This is the Digiblast, as you guys can see right there. This was a European handheld, and I'm not kidding. This was supposed to compete with the PSP, but it failed miserably. I really need to make a video on this, guys, because this is a weird one. And I have all of the add-ons for them, and when I say all, it's just 2 of them. Which is a MP3 player, and also the, which is right there, the media center. And I also have a cable that connects this to the TV. These are the games for it. Oh, and I also have a, just the case for it. These are the games, and these are cartridges, actually. Not kidding. These are cartridges. It had a couple of exclusives and a couple of crappy ports for it. Yeah, again, I really need to make a video on it. Here we have a Pizza Hut Tetris machine that I got it. It's that stuff that, you would get points with the purchases on Pizza Hut, and with the points you would get this. So yeah, and it still works. It still works. And it's Tetris, again. Oh, these are just holders. Let me take this out of the way. This is a plug-and-play console. No, it is not an N64 controller. It's the Mega Joy, and it plays crappy NES clones, ROMs, but it's fun to have it. It's weird. And this right here is the Retrogen. What this is, it's a portable Mega Drive, or Genesis. And yeah, you can play Sega Genesis, and it's region free, by the way. You can play Mega Drive, PAL, Japanese, and Genesis cartridges on the go. You can also plug this to the TV. And I think it was the very first review that I did on the channel, the first system review. And yeah, that's it for this shelf. And again, I really need to make a video on a couple of these. Okay, this next shelf is kind of a chaotic one. I don't have room for everything, so sometimes I need to just organize it the way I can. Here we have the Retron 5 and the Retron 77. I like Hyperkin, I really enjoy their products, and these are my favorite ones, of course. The Retron 77, when I play Atari 2600, this is what I use. To be honest with you, I prefer to play on this one than to play on the original one. It's just, it is what it is, guys. And when I play on the original one, I use the Retron 77 joystick. And yeah, it's also a very cool system to play homebrews and ROM hacks. And of course, the Retron 5, my favorite emulation machine. And I also have the 3-in-1 adapter for it. So I can play Master System, Sega Hue cards, which I don't have, but and Game Gear games on my Retron 5. And yes, this one actually works on the Mega Drive and the Genesis, which is very cool. Let me just take the Retron 77 out of the way, guys. Here we have my Humboldt Game Gear collection. Here we have my Game Gear. And here is my Humboldt Master System collection. I really need to get more into the Master System, especially because, there are a couple of exclusives that I want to play, especially RPGs. Yeah, that is what it is. Aztec Adventure, this is a great game, actually. Shadow of the Beast, not a great game. Also have Speedball, Time Soldiers, and The Ninja. The Ninja is a very cool game, but it is hard as balls. Here we have a couple of Mega CD games, also a couple of PlayStation 2 demos, and this was given to me by my good friend João Correia, again link down below, fellow Portuguese retro gamer YouTuber, and he gave me this, and it's a Mario game from McDonald's, and it's awesome. I didn't knew that these existed, but he gave me this one. So João, thank you so much, my friend. The next shelf is probably one of my favorites on my entire collection, which is my Mega Drive collection. I love the Mega Drive. The Mega Drive was my starting point as a gamer. It was my very first contact with video games, and this one right here was the very first game that I ever played, or games. The Mega Games 2. Best multi-cart ever. If you're starting out with the Mega Drive collection, start with this one right here. You can't go wrong with Revenge of Shinobi, Streets of Rage, and Golden Axe. Hands down. This is a very, very special place on my collection. I put in the box of my Mega Drive Mini right here, just for, you know, obvious reasons. And these are starting to get double stacked because, yeah, I own a couple of Mega Drive games, and even though I'm not a collector that goes after rare stuff, when it comes to the Mega Drive, I do own a couple of rare stuff for the system, but I got them very, very cheap. I could be wrong, but I think that the most expensive game that I got, I paid 20 euros for it, something like that, because what I do is that I buy in bundles, as you guys know. I buy in bundles, I keep what I want, and I just sell or trade the rest. It's the way to go. Just going to give a couple of highlights to you guys. Soleil, again my pronunciation is terrible because this is a French word, I believe it means sun. Soleil, this is actually the European version of Crusader of Santi. And Crusader of Santi, it's crazy expensive, I don't know, $400, something like that, which is crazy. This one, not so much. This one is complete, but if you want just the cartridge, you can get it for what? 10 euros, more or less, 15 euros top. Maybe 15 euros, it's kind of expensive. 10 euros, yeah. Great game, great RPG. A lot of people say that it is a Zelda clone, a Link to the Past clone. I find it that to be very unfair. I think that this game is its own unique thing, and it's great. It's a great RPG on the system. Let's just move these out of the way and see what we have here. Mortal Kombat games. For me, Mortal Kombat, the original ones are still the best, and my favorite versions are the ones on the Mega Drive. It is what it is. No matter what version, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, or 3, I prefer to play them on the Mega Drive, with a 6-button controller, of course. Mega Turrican, this is a hard one to find, and kind of expensive also, but it's the thing about these games, you know, even though I own a couple of rare, expensive stuff, whatever, these are great games. These are games that I played it when I was a kid, back, you know, at friend's house who had the Mega Drive, because my parents just couldn't afford me one back in the day. And later on, I played them on emulation until I got my very own Mega Drive, and I don't know, I think that I was, what, 17? I don't know, 16 years old when I first got it. Yeah, but it is what it is. Light Crusader, again, another great RPG on the system. If you like Diablo, this plays kind of the same. What else? Landstalker, another great RPG. And yeah, I know that I'm mentioning a lot of RPGs because, you know, the Mega Drive and the Genesis, it's not a system that it's well known for its RPGs, and hands down, the Super Nintendo RPGs are the best when it comes to 16-bit. But this is just to let you guys know that if you like RPGs like me, you have a lot of great ones on the Mega Drive. Captain Havoc, great platformer. Fatal Labyrinth, what else? Eco, I love Eco. I know that a lot of people hate Eco the Dolphin. Me personally, I love it. I love these games. Very original, very beautiful, very relaxing to play. And what else? Last but not least, let me just showcase this one to you. Comic Zone. I mean, this game. This to me is the definition of a masterpiece. I love this game. One of the best beat-em-ups of all time. One of the best Sega games of all time, and Sketch Turner is just one of the coolest dudes in video games. And yeah, this one is actually complete. I do own the soundtrack. I don't want to make a mess, but it's right there. And the soundtrack, by the way, guys, is amazing. Also, one of the best on the Mega Drive. This is just, of course, my personal opinion. Here on the front row, we have Sonic & Knuckles, my favorite Sonic game of all time. Streets of Rage 2, Streets of Rage 3, and oh, you have Streets of Rage 3? Yes, I do. I paid 4 euros for it when nobody cared about retro video games. Strider, another great game if you're starting out a Mega Drive collection. This is a great game. Sword of Vermilion, again, another RPG. A lot of people don't talk, a lot of people don't know about this, but Sword of Vermilion was the very, very first 16-bit RPG ever made. And it's a good one. I mean, it didn't age very well, but it's a decent game. Lion King, of course. Everything that Disney did back in the day for the 16-bit era is just amazing. No matter what game, it is amazing. And last but not least, I just want to show you guys these. These are, of course, you know, multi-carts, original multi-carts compilations. I've mentioned Mega Games 2, but this one right here, just want to showcase this to you. This is the classic collection. We have Gunstar Heroes, Altered Beast, Alex Kidd, and Fleeky. I could be wrong, but I think that this card right here was a PAL exclusive. And it's a great one. I mean, for its price, what you get, you really can't go wrong with it. I mean, Fleeky, Alex Kidd, Altered Beast, Gunstar Heroes. Gunstar Heroes is, if you don't know this game, it's kind of the Metal Slug on Sega, if you will. It's a great game. Not as good as Metal Slug, but it's a great game. So yeah, this is my Mega Drive collection. Moving on to my humbled Sega Saturn collection. This is my Sega Saturn games, right here. Not a lot of them. I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of the Sega Saturn, but I did play it when I was a kid, even though I was on the Sony side with the PlayStation. Make love, guys, not console wars. But the Sega Saturn, I mean, if you like, even though it is a 3D system, or a 3D based system, if you like 2D games, the Sega Saturn is a paradise, because 2D games on the Sega Saturn look beautiful, just amazing. And yeah, this is my humbled Saturn collection, here with Virtual Cop, with the Virtual Gun. I remember playing this on the arcades, actually. And the crown jewel of my Sega Saturn collection, and my favorite, one of my favorite Sega games of all time, Nights into Dreams. That's right. This is the one that came with the 3D controller, the 3D control pad. I just love Nights into Dreams. Sega, please make the remake. What are you waiting for? Here, back to Mega Drive, forgot to mention these. These are homebrew games, actually, or actually this one right here is a homebrew game. This is Q*berts on the Mega Drive, on a cartridge. Here I have a couple of ROM hacks. Streets of Rage 2 featuring Sketch Turner from Comic Zone, and Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog. So this is Sonic the Hedgehog 1, but instead of Sonic, you played with Knuckles. And I prefer Knuckles to Sonic. And this is a Japanese exclusive. Of course, this is Golden Axe 3 on a cartridge for the Mega Drive, and yes, it plays in English. These, of course, are not original. These were never released, but these were made, again, by my good friend David from Deckard Games. And you guys need to check out his channel, because he has some amazing videos, and he teaches you how you guys can make your own reproduction cards. So yeah, that's it for my Sega collection. Moving on to my favorite shelf on my collection, because this is my PlayStation 1 library, and the PlayStation 1 is my favorite system of all time. Starting out with Tombi and Tombi 2. Yes, they were called Tombi, not Tomba, here in Europe. For me, masterpieces. I love these games. I know that a lot of people like it and a lot of people hate it, but I love these games. Tombi and Tombi 2. It took me a long time to get me Tombi 2, but again, João Correia, my friend, thank you so much for this awesome deal. And as you guys can see, I'm starting to running low on space. I'm not going to show you guys everything. A couple of my favorite ones, Pandemonium 1 and 2 right here. Of course, we have Medieval. Sorry for the glare, guys, I'm trying my best here. What else? Final Fantasy, of course. Yes, I'm missing Final Fantasy 9, and you guys are going to hate me for this, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't own Final Fantasy 9, and I never played Final Fantasy 9. Yeah, just let's go on with the video. Final Fantasy 7, of course, Final Fantasy 8. My favorite Final Fantasy game of all time. It's true, I love Final Fantasy 8, I prefer it to Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 6, on the, I think that this was the last game that I got on a store for the PlayStation 1. Sorry guys. Early 2000s, I think. This version of Final Fantasy 6, I mean, it's better to play on the Super Nintendo because, you know, the loading screens, the loading times on this one, on the PS1, are just terrible. Super, super long. But you do have some really cool 3D cutscenes. So it's worth it to have it, I think, if you find it for a decent price. Fighting Force, this is kind of the spiritual successor to Streets of Rage, if you will. Let's just move these out of the way. What else? Dino Crisis games, right there. Die Hard Trilogy, I love this game. What else? Crash Bandicoot games, of course. I have all of the main ones. Favorite one, Crash Bandicoot Warped, without a doubt. A couple of Bust a Move games right there. Bloody Roar. Bloody Roar is kind of a hidden gem, if you will, on the system. Kind of a forgotten fighting franchise. It's kind of lost in time. And here we have Bubsy 3D. A lot of people hate this game. Yeah, it is true, the game sucks, but I just have it because it's one of those situations where it's just fun to have it. And I got an awesome deal by my good friend Gilles, aka Retros2. What else? Bugs Live right here, Action Man. I love this game on the PS1, love it. And yeah, I'm sorry to making a mess here. Here on the front row, I have a couple of my personal favorites. Resident Evil 2 and 3, Swagman. Again, hidden gem on the system. I did review this game on my channel. The Tekken series, I mean, Tekken, what can I say? My favorite fighting franchise of all time, hands down to Tekken. Theme Hospital, yes, I also have Theme Hospital for the PS1. I think Gilles also got me this one. The Tomb Raider games, the main Tomb Raider games, the original series, if you will, or the original timeline. Wild 9, very interesting platformer. Again, a hidden gem on the system. And this right here, Extreme Games. This is right here in display on the front row because this was the very first video game that I've ever got. Like ever. It was this one right here. And Demo 1. That's right, the original, the OG. This was what it came with the system. I don't own my original one. I really don't know what happened to it. But this one was a gift by Felipe Martinez, my friend. Thank you so much for this. This is a very special item indeed on my PS1 collection. And yeah, let's just put the zombies back into place. And yeah, this is my PS1 collection, my favorite library within my collection. Speaking about amazing libraries, let's move on to the PS2. Right here. Again, I also have this right here. This is a... I'm not a huge fan of racing games. This is Mashed. But the cool thing about this one is that this was not able to... for sale. That's why I have this one right here. It's just an interesting collector's item, if you will. What can I show you on the PS2 department? Of course, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I don't need to repeat myself. My favorite video game of all time, Kingdom Hearts. And yeah, my PS2 collection. This is the PS2 remote controller. I used to use this a lot back in the day to watch DVDs. Our DVD player, probably like a lot of you that got the PS2 back in the day, our DVD player at home was the PS2. Okay, I can show you guys, Tekken Tag, one of my favorite Tekken games. What else? We have The Mark of Cry. This is a hidden gem on the system, in my opinion. I believe that I have all of the Sony games released on the PS2. Shadow of Rome, one of my favorite PS2 games of all time. Prince of Persia, this trilogy on the PS2, hands down, is amazing. Primal, another hidden gem on the system. What else? We have Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. We have Lord of the Rings games. Mortal Kombat, probably my favorite 3D Mortal Kombat game is this one right here, Armageddon. This was a great entry on the series. And I also have Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, great beat 'em up. If you're looking for a good 3D beat 'em up, and if you like Mortal Kombat, this is the game to play right here. What else? Legacy of Kain games, GTA games, Final Fantasy X. I love Final Fantasy X. This game, it really changed me back in the day when it was released, especially for its amazing soundtrack. I love the soundtrack of Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X-2, and we don't talk about that game on this channel. Yu-Gi-Oh games right here, Duelists of the Roses. It's a great game. And yeah, Burnout games. These games actually belong to my father. My father used to love these games, Burnout. And I also have this little game right here called Age of Empires. And yeah, it was released on the PS2. I think it was an European exclusive. And how does it play on the PS2? It plays well, but it's that type of game. I mean, if you're going to play Age of Empires, you really need to play it on the PC. That's the proper way to play it. And yeah, this is my PS2 collection. Now, the PS4 section right here. And I also have a couple of PS3 games on the back. The reason why I keep my PS3 games on the back, which are not a lot, it's because, even though I'm a Sony fan, the PS3 is my least console by Sony. My least favorite, sorry. I really didn't enjoy the PS3 back in the day. I have a couple of games and yeah, I just don't collect for it. So that's why it's hidden. I'm not hating on the system, but I'm a huge fan of the PS4 and I need the space for my PS4 games, so I prefer to have the PS4 stuff on display. Here we have a couple of VR games. Right here, a couple of collector's limited editions. Life is Strange. I still haven't played Life is Strange 2, but Life is Strange is amazing. Of course, the deluxe edition of my beloved Kingdom Hearts 3. I loved Kingdom Hearts 3. I loved it. I would dare to say that it's probably within my top 5. Top 4. It's on my top 4 Kingdom Hearts games. Really good stuff. And yeah, this is my PS4 library right here. Of course, that we have Twin Insane trilogy, the remakes of the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. If you're looking for a very emotional game to play on the PS4, grab this one. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. This game will make you cry. Not kidding. Not giving you guys any spoilers, but this game will make you cry. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. This for me was a huge surprise on the system. On the system, I mean, you know what I mean by the system, and it's not an exclusive, but this game was a huge surprise for me. This game has already become my favorite Dragon Ball game of all time. I loved Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I've put more than 50 hours into this one. I did almost everything that you can accomplish in the game. It's a masterpiece, hands down. Final Fantasy games, Fist of the North Star, recently finished. Very cool, great RPG, based on the Fist of the North Star anime, of course. It's a really good one. Journey, my girlfriend gave me this collector's edition of Journey back when I got the PS4. It has 3 games, as you guys can see right here. And Journey is it's a very original game. I really can't explain too much, because if I do, I think that I will ruin the experience for you if you still haven't played it yet. But do yourself a favor and play Journey. It's amazing. And again, the soundtrack is hands down. Kingdom Hearts games right here. Little Nightmares, the collector's edition. Lumo, Medieval, of course. Shenmue. Just going to bring these guys out. Shenmue. This was my introduction to Shenmue. Actually, I did play it with a friend back in the day on the Dreamcast, but I didn't own the Dreamcast. My friend, it was the same guy that I've talked, Mario, but not this Mario. My friend Mario, he is a huge Shenmue fan. He did have the Dreamcast, and I played it at his house, but not for a long time, because it's an RPG, so I couldn't keep up with them. But I have it right here, the remasters on the PS4, and also Shenmue 3. I enjoyed Shenmue 3. I don't think that it is as good as the previous 2 games, due to the ending. I mean, it was not an ending, and I don't know what is going to be about the future, what is going to happen with the future of Shenmue, but fingers crossed, because we need a Shenmue 4, that is for sure. What else? We also have these Spyro Trilogy remakes right here, Tekken 7, Stardew Valley. This is not a game, this is an addiction. This is awesome. If you like Harvest Moon, you need to play this game. Actually, I have it on the PS4, but I want to have it on the Switch. I need to grab this one on the Switch, because this is the kind of game that I want to play on the Nintendo Switch, so I need to grab the Switch version. Last Guardian, amazing game. The Last of Us, This War of Mine, and speaking about Sega again, this is one of the most amazing games, one of the most amazing Sega games that I've played. I love this, Valkyria Chronicles. And yeah, that's it for my PS4/PS3 collection on the back. Last but not least, the bottom shelf, this is where I keep a couple of game guides and gaming magazines, because back in the day, guys, for the younger crowd out there, this was our YouTube. These were our tutorials, our playthroughs. Yeah, you had to read, you had to buy magazines. These were our news also, so yeah. And also my Dungeons and Dragons books right here. Now here we have some Streets of Rage artwork going on, and this is what I like to call my ZX Spectrum shrine. That's right. This is my ZX Spectrum collection. I have hundreds of tapes, cassette tapes. I love the ZX Spectrum, even though I wasn't around on this system when this computer came out. But it's charming, and it has a strong connection with Portugal, actually. And yeah, the ZX Spectrum is my favorite 8-bit computer. And the games are not... how am I going to say this? You know, speaking about ZX Spectrum ports are not the best. The graphics and sound are not the most impressive, but it's charming. It's very characteristic. And yeah, I just love the ZX Spectrum. This is a porno game made right here in Portugal. I'm not kidding. It is a pornographic game made in the 80s here in Portugal. YouTube doesn't allow me to show you much of that. Yeah, ZX Spectrum, cassette tapes right here. Here I have a couple of my personal favorites. And this is my ZX Spectrum 128K, the +2 model, right here. Here I have one of my setups. On this television right here, I have my ZX Spectrum. This right here, by the way, this joystick, this command stick, this was a donation by a fellow friend and viewer, Vitor Alves. And I'm not kidding, guys, this is probably the rarest item that I have on my collection. it's it's crazy. I'm not kidding. So my friend, thank you so much for your generosity. It's right here. I've cleaned it up and I've repaired it and it's working. So here we have, on this setup, we have the ZX Spectrum, and here is the Atari XEGS that I've talked about previously. And I'm not kidding, guys, this is my favorite Atari console. Even though it is also a computer, I love this machine. Love this machine right here. This is a tape deck, an Atari tape deck, because this machine reads cartridges and also cassettes. And this is my Neo Geo CMVS. That's right, it's the consoleized MVS motherboards. And it was one. I did a review of this machine right here. It was one of the first videos that I've done here on the channel. And usually these are, I had to unplug them. I put them right here. There I have a hidden PS2 that needs repairing. And this is the Nikita, one of my best friends, Ruben, aka Sixon. He is the drummer of my former band. This is a Mega Drive clone called Nikita. A Mega Drive clone, sorry, a Famicom, molded after the Mega Drive 2 model. This was his. He gave this to me a long time ago. So yeah, this is one of my setups, retro setups. Moving on to the second and third setup. Yeah, this is where I keep my retro consoles. Not all of them, but the ones that I play the most. Even though I have to be honest with you guys, nowadays I don't play as much as I used to on the original hardware because, you know, the mini consoles, etc. But I always have them right here. I use these a lot for testing games, and sometimes I do play. I do play on them. Here we have a portable television, a JVC. It's colored, and it is awesome. And I have my Atari 2600 plugged into it. This was my original TV back when I was a kid. This is the TV that I used to game on when I was, you know, 7 years old, with my original PlayStation. Oh, and this TV, by the way, it belonged to my girlfriend. Here I have the PlayStation VR. It's right here because I don't have space for it on my living room, so it's here on display. Here I have my GameCube with the Game Boy player, as you can see right there. So I can play Game Boy games on the GameCube. That, I actually use it a lot. Here I have my Mega Drive Model 2 with the Mega CD, Sega Saturn, my original Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, and my NES. And this was, again, a gift by my best friend, because this NES is special. This belonged to his brothers, and he gave it to me without their consent. Long time ago, over 10 years ago. As you can see right here, RGB. That's because this is the European French edition of the NES. Probably one of the rarest models of the NES. And is it true RGB? Well, no, but let me tell you, the image and sound quality of this machine is amazing. So yeah, this is where I keep my retro consoles. And if you're wondering, well, where do you game? Well, I game and I play on the ground, on the floor, old school, because I don't have space for a sofa or whatever. But yeah, here this is where I keep my microphones and mic stand, and also have a wheel for the Sega Saturn. And here is the working area, the working PC area. This is my new PC. I love this machine. My good friend Ferry built this for me. My friend, thank you so much. And here we have a retro PC. This is a Pentium 3 right here, up and running. And this actually I've been using it a lot lately, because this was, again, a gift built by good friends, Deckard Games. Subscribe. David, my friend, thank you so much for this awesome machine. You guys can see the entire build of this Pentium 3 Windows 98 computer on his channel. He has the full build right there, old school. And yeah, over here we have a couple of boxes. These are filled with extra controllers, What else? Cables, lots of audio and video cables, adapters and whatnot. I have to keep them right there. This is my view. Yeah, the awful construction site that always messes up my videos. It is what it is. And here I have a couple of Mighty Max toys. These are actually the boxes, because speaking about Mighty Max, let me show you this. My Mighty Max collection. Last but not least, the last part of my game room tour. I'm not a toy collector, but I love Mighty Max. And this is not my entire collection. These I went back to Mighty Max collection last year, so this is the stuff that I gathered during the last year. Because my Mighty Max when I was a kid, the ones that I had from back when I was a kid, they are on my grandmother's house, and they're kind of hard to reach because they're in the attic. So yeah, maybe one day, that's where I have all of my toys from back when I was a kid. Most of my toys are there. Maybe one day I'll get them and display them here, but I lack of space. Probably like a lot of you who collects. But yeah, this is my Mighty Max collection. And this right here, don't judge me. Let me just display this for you. This is a Polly Pocket. That's right. Do I collect Polly Pockets? No. Is it a girl's toy? It is, but the reason why I have it here is because I actually got this very, very recently. Just a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I got this on a flea market. And the reason why I got it, it's because Bluebird's Toys made Polly Pocket, and it also made Mighty Max. So Polly is kind of the older sister of Mighty Max, because I think that you know, I mean, if you grew up in the 90s, if you are a kid from the 90s, you know that Polly Pocket was a girl's toys, you know, very popular girl's toys. Not that girl's toys. And yeah, Mighty Max is the boy version of Polly Pocket, so that's why I have that Polly Pocket doll right there. On top of my guitar amp crate. I'm actually going to sell this to my best friend because I want to switch it for another amp, but that's a topic for another video. And this is my guitar, my BC Reach Virgo. This is a metal guitar right there. And yeah, that's it for... Oh, one last thing. Almost forgot. My Kylo Ren lightsaber. Why do I have this? Well, first because I love Star Wars. Second, because this lightsaber is my favorite lightsaber ever. And third, because I'm a nerd. And this was my game room tour, guys. One last peek. I know that this was a very long video, but thanks for watching, and let's go to the wrap of the video. There you go, guys, this was my game room tour, and please let me know down below what do you guys think about my game room and my collection. Also, let me know if you spot anything that you guys would like to see a little bit closer. Let me know if you guys want me to review a couple of these items. And once again, to all of you, thank you so much for your amazing support. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to put a like on this video, please subscribe to the channel, and take care of yourselves, take care of the gaming community, and game a lot.